Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at Divine Art from Guru Playing Cards. Guru is the company of creator Sunish Chabba out of Australia, and his decks have always been these really thoughtfully crafted decks inspired by history, mythology, and art. This was the deck that launched Guru into the playing card landscape. So back in 2016, Sunish set out to create a deck that was inspired by Hindu mythology, celebrating also the traditional folk art forms that often draw upon those same myths. Now, mythology is, of course, very common fodder for custom decks, especially Greco-Roman mythology, but Hindu mythology is much less explored. In fact, this remains one of the only decks out there that really tackles the subject, and I'm excited to jump into it and showcase some of Sunish's incredible work. So we'll start off by checking out the tuck box. Now, the tuck box is probably my least favorite part of the deck overall, so stay tuned for the cards, which I think really amp it up, but it's done on a black matte cardstock, kind of a thinner cardstock, and it has gold foil applied to give you a great black and gold combination on these, really classic color combination. It is definitely a little bit void in a lot of areas, so a lot of empty space on this one, and there's no embossing, which I think would have been a nice touch. But the design work that is here is really nicely done. So the words very small in the center, Divine Art Playing Cards, inspired by Hindu mythology. I love the touch of this font here that almost looks like Sanskrit, but it is still English words here in the center. And then the border details around here feature a quartet of peacocks, a classic sacred animal in Hindu mythology. And then the little icons here, the flowers or the classic pips there on the sides as well. Very nice look to it, but like I said, would have liked some of that empty space to have been filled in a little bit more. As you turn to the sides, Divine Art Playing Cards inspired by Hindu mythology again, and the little plant patterns there on the top and the bottom. Same thing on the other side. Your ad copy on the bottom for Guru Playing Cards. I'll mention this is a 2016 deck and printed in China. I believe these were made by Expert Playing Card Company. Top has Divine Art again, but it's covered up by that tuck seal. And the back has the foiled version of the back design of the cards. Again, no embossing on this one. Although that foiling, the way it's stamped on there, gives just an ever so slight texture that you can feel. And then it's finished out with the postage stamp-esque seal here, done in gold and white. Definitely don't like the seal quite as much on this one. It stands out a little bit too much against that darker tuck box. Just doesn't fit the theme as well, but it does have the Guru logo there in the center and is numbered out of the very limited edition of just 500 of these decks. As you open it up, little lotus leaf pattern there in the center, and then nothing printed on the interior of the tuck box. So nice color combination, but not necessarily as ornate as I would have liked given how great the cards inside are. Now, the tuck box is a little bit thicker than you might typically expect, and that's because of the little pamphlet that's included inside. So this fold-out pamphlet gives you a little bit of extra detail about the artwork that's included, some of the inspiration, and tells you who some of the characters are in the deck. So a nice little extra cheat sheet that I got on this one that helped me when I was doing some research to prep for this deck review. But nice little addition, and that it's included in the box means it's going to be a little bit thicker than normal. Now, as you pull the cards out, the first thing that you'll notice probably is going to be this gilding, and it is fantastic. So this is done in gold gilding, but it's a matte gilding. So you'll see there's no reflection on this one. It's a beautiful, subtle gilding that gives a great color to these, super clean look all the way around, and just has an ever so slight shimmer to it that I think really works super nicely. I wish more decks would use this style of gilding as opposed to that really harsh foiled gilding. I think this looks so much nicer. Anyway, all right, turning to the back designs of the cards. And the back designs are really striking. They're done in brilliant gold foil against the black background and a lot more detail, especially compared to the tuck box. Really nice look to it. And the line work here pays tribute to a beautiful form of Indian art known as kalamkari, where artisans would block print or even hand paint these intricate designs onto cotton textiles, forming these ornate scenes. And the pattern on the cards here features the large tree in the center. The tree might be a depiction of the, I'll see if I can get this pronunciation right, but it's the Kalpa Vriksha. It's a divine tree that's noted in Sanskrit literature for its wish-fulfilling properties. The tree is flanked on either side by these large mayura. It's the Sanskrit word for peacocks. The peacocks are another common symbol in Hinduism, signifies the cycle of life. It's a really simple but beautiful pattern. You get the nice border around the edge and then finishes out with the black poker border for, not over the top, but really nice simple, very clean and inspired design for the back design. So there's your back design. Turning the faces, so the faces of the cards are white, not black. And we start off with the two jokers. And this introduces art inspired by yet another folk art style in the form of block printing. So in this art style, artisans would take these hand-carved wooden blocks and then have the art or the ink applied to them before pressing them onto linen or even paper. And then each block would add the different colors, the block designs and elements all the way through. And you'd often get, just like you do on these, that little bit of white space in between the colors that could be used to provide extra little detail or whatever it is that you wanted. But that would be an artifact of the fact that each color was applied one single block at a time. The first of the two jokers here depicts Narad Muni, who's the sage divinity and famed musician. He was said to carry news and wisdom to mortals throughout the world. And here he's shown as he's often depicted. He has the instruments in his hands. So on one hand, he has the veena, this long-necked string instrument. He was said to be a true master of the instrument, one of the greatest whoever was. And on the other hand, he has a pair of kartal. It's these small blocks that could be used to make this kind of rhythmic sound to them. It's a bold, beautiful art style, and I love how it's used on these one-way jokers. It's a great tribute to a really unique art style. And then the second joker, this one depicts Mohini, the enchantress. She's one of the female avatars of Vishnu and is said to be a bit of a femme fatale. So she'd both attract lovers, but then also lead them to their doom and drive them mad at the same time. I love on this one that dynamic pose, almost like she's dancing, the way her legs tilted there, the arm lifted up to the side. It's a really dynamic kind of flowing pose despite being kind of static on the card. So really nice look to the jokers. They have the pips there in the corners in lieu of the word joker. Just really nicely done, and I love the color palettes chosen on these. So there's your two jokers. The number cards are kind of cool. So the number cards feature the gray kind of shadowed pips. So you have a series of 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, just a block of pips. And then only certain ones of the pips are lit up to show the value of the card. So obviously you have the 2 pips that are lit up here in the darker black. It's a cool pattern, and you get the same grid of pips as you go through the rest of the numbers, just with a different number lit up in kind of a unique pattern. I love the little touch on this, gives it kind of a unique feel, and the shape of the pips is just nicely customized to kind of fit in with the Indian or the Hindu theme. That kind of bulbous pip there, giving, kind of bringing to mind some of the architecture that you might find in the area. So beautiful black pips on the spade pips, and then the hearts go in favor of the kind of more crimson red color. So really like the kind of unique touch that's given to the pips, but still nice, easy to read pips on these. A pip and index in the corner, very simple font. So there's your club pips. And then finally with the diamond pips. So nice custom pips without being too over the top thematically on these. And then finally we get to the courts, where of course we're going to get a chance to delve even deeper into the mythology, showcasing some of the gods and goddesses of Hinduism, along with their mounts and other sacred animals. And the spades start off with one of the most powerful of all of the beings. This that we see here, this is Vishnu, the bestower of karma and the compassionate preserver. He's depicted in a one-way design on the card, and the design, in my opinion, absolutely stunning. Shown here kind of cross-legged, shown as he usually is with the multiple arms, the 4 arms reaching out. It's a really cool pose, and I'll draw your attention in particular to some of the tattoo work on the arms and on the chest here. This is yet another nod to an art style in India. This is the art of mehendi. It's a traditional craft where olive-colored designs are painted onto the skin and then usually showcased during celebrations like weddings and things like that. And the patterns here, just another fantastic and beautifully incorporated art form in this deck. So great look at the first of our many gods and goddesses with Vishnu. And then paired with Vishnu in the spades, we have the Queen of Spades, and this is his wife or his consort. This is Lakshmi, the goddess of love and prosperity. The companion, like I said, of Vishnu, and shown here seated on her lotus throne underneath. Great color combinations again, the pinks, the greens, the blues and reds, all combining together beautifully. So the lotus that she's seated on, and then the flowers here, another symbol, and the symbol of the fortune that she can bestow. And then finally among the spades, the Jack of Spades, This is Vishnu's mount, Garuda. Garuda was the king of birds and a symbol of strength, yet another of the famed creatures from Hindu myth. Again, really cool art. You get more of that tattoo art style that's applied to kind of fill in the extra patterns. My only wish, I think this one's a little bit small, and some of the jacks on this one have a little bit smaller artwork. I wish it had been expanded to kind of fit the scale that we see on some of the other cards. You know, if you look here at the Queen, just a much larger scale. And I think this one would have benefited from being a little bit larger, but still really cool artwork here with the image of Garuda. And then the Ace of Spades closes out with that large spade pip in the center. And then the image that you see here in the center, this is the Tikala marking that's on the forehead of Vishnu. So that shape that you see here in white. So beautiful pattern work on this one, divine arts at the bottom of the Ace of Spades just to close out the suit. All right, now moving on to the hearts. So the heart deities pay tribute to Krishna and his consort Radha. Krishna is the god of protection, and he's shown here with the flute in his hands, decorated with peacock feathers in the headdress. There's an old story about a time when Krishna actually danced in a mesmerizing display with a group of peacocks, and then afterwards they gifted him with some of their tail feathers, which he picked up and then put into his headdress. And so that's why you'll always see Krishna depicted with the feathers. And then Radha is his queen and devoted partner, depicted here. She's the goddess of love and devotion in Hindu culture. So another beautiful pair depicted on these. And then the animal associated with them on the Jack of Hearts. This one is I hope I'm saying this right, Surabi, the sacred cow. Now, cows are, of course, sacred animals in all of Hindu culture, but Surabi in particular is sort of said to be the mother of all cows. And this one, more than any other card, really kind of brings in that Mehendi art better than anything else, bringing in those ornate tattoo lines drawn all over the cow, really highlighted super well in this one. And then finally, we have the Ace of Hearts, which finishes out the suit with a depiction of one of Krishna's famed peacock feathers in the center. So that little design there meant to be a peacock feather. All right, now we move on to the clubs, and we start with my favorite card in the entire deck. This is Brahma, the creator god. So the pose on this one, truly imposing. You get the three heads here, a really striking look to the overall card. Now, the myths say that Brahma actually had four heads, not three. So I imagine there's a fourth head that's kind of on the back there, looking backwards, because it said the four heads pointed in the four cardinal directions. But a really great look. The greens and the pinks, you can see the lotus flower that is seated on there at the bottom. Really a great color combination. Just a really super well composed card overall. And then his wife and the Queen of Clubs here is next up. This is Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, music, and art. She's shown here with a veena. This is the same instrument we saw before, that long neck string instrument that she plays. So she's got it there at the ready. And just like with Brahma, the pinks and the greens work really well as a color combination on this one. And then finally, Brahma's vehicle, he's said to ride on a swan. And so the swan makes its way as the Jack of Clubs here, another beautifully drawn card. And then finally, with the Ace of Clubs, we close it out with the lotus flower. I mentioned that Brahma was seated on a lotus, and the lotus flower is so commonly used in Hindu culture. And so, of course, that's got to get depicted on one of the cards. So it makes its way here as the Ace of Clubs. And then finally, we get to the final ones, the diamonds. And this one's led by one of the most recognizable deities. This is Shiva, the destroyer and regenerator. Shown here with the famed trident called the Trishula at his side. That's his famous weapon that he would always be depicted with. Just another beautifully detailed image. I love the little snake here crawling out of the side, another commonly associated symbol of Shiva. And then his wife makes his way as the Queen of Diamonds. This is Parvati, the goddess of power and motherhood, and among many other aspects, and shown here as the Queen of Diamonds. And then Shiva is said to ride the great bull Nandi. And so that's what you see here, the divine bull. Love the pose on this one, looking up to the heavens. And again, really nicely ordained with that, with the artwork here all over, inspired in that Mehendi art style. So really nice look at the Jack of Diamonds. And then the final card, the Ace of Diamonds, yet again highlights Shiva's legendary trident there in the center. And that is the deck. Beautiful look to it overall. Now, I will say the handling, not the greatest on these. These have almost a smooth finish. And so as a result, not the best handling deck in the world, but not bad overall, and definitely something that if you wanted to use this for gameplay would serve you just fine. But for me, this is an art deck first and foremost, and you're going to want to appreciate it as an art deck because I think it does a beautiful job paying tribute to a fantastic and rich, deep culture all the way through. It is a brilliant deck of cards, and I gotta admit, when I started off with the tuck box, not the most inspiring tuck box in the world, but digging into the cards, I fell in love instantly. Now this one is, like I said, a very limited deck, only 500 of them made, and it's a bit harder to find. So this is one you're gonna wanna keep an eye out in the secondary markets. Hopefully you can snag one of these up for yourself. If you ever get a chance, do it in a heartbeat. Don't even think about it. It is a fantastic deck. Sunish really killed it with this one. Just absolutely love the deck. So can't say enough great things about it. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this dive into divine art and a little bit of a look at Hindu mythology. That's it for now. Make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews, more unboxings. Let me know what other decks you want to see, and I'll see you for the next one.